Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development program, and in particular the AWD 1111.NET framework with web databases, I've been creating a series of video presentations based on the textbook that will be used for the AWD 1111 class in the fall 2019 semester. The textbook is Pro ASP.NET MVC 5, an A-Press text by Mr. Adam Freeman. We are just about through Chapter 8 of 27, and we are up to implementing the Kerb Controller on page 220. The author says, I need a controller to handle the Add to Cart button presses. Create a new controller in our web UI called Kerb Controller and edit the content so that it matches what is shown on pages 220 and 221. So let me just grab this code that's right here, copy it to the clipboard. Alright. Come over to our web UI controllers, right mouse click, add, controller, empty, because that's what the author always uses. And it'll be called Kerb Controller. Hit enter, it'll make that. There'll be now a cart folder here. Control A, Control V. It's not at all done yet because there's code on the next page as well. All right. Nothing red here, that's always a good sign. So, we've got about 50 lines. I'm not going to go over the using statements. Alright, so let's just take it up near the top here. And the author mentions, and I'm taking the author's stuff here from page 221. There are a few points to note about this controller. The first is that what is being used is the ASP.NET session state feature to store and retrieve cart objects. This is the purpose of the getCart method. ASP.NET has a nice session feature that uses cookies or URL rewriting to associate multiple requests from a user together to form a single browsing session. A related feature is session state, which associates data with a session. This is ideal for the cart class. We want each user to have their own cart, and we want the cart to be persistent between requests. Data associated with a session is deleted when a session expires, typically because the user has not made a request in a while, which means that we do not need to manage the storage or life cycle of cart objects. To add an object, we set the value key. Someplace in here. There we go. To retrieve an object again, we simply read the same key. There's a tip on the bottom of page 221 that says session state objects are stored in the memory of the ASP.NET server by default, but you can configure a range of different approaches, and including an SQL database. We're going to just leave it where it is. For the add to cart and remove from cart methods, we used parameter names that match the input elements in the HTML forms created in the product summary.cs HTML view. This allows the MVC framework to associate an incoming form post variable or variables with those parameters, meaning we do not need to process the form itself. All right. Displaying the contents of a cart, I'm on page 222, and again, I'm just following with the author's lead here. The final point to note about the cart is that both add to cart and remove from cart call redirect to action method, which has the effect of sending an HTTP redirect instruction to the browser, asking the browser to request a new URL. In this case, we ask the browser to request the URL that calls the index action method of the cart controller. We're going to implement the index method and use it to display the cart contents. Okay? We need to pass two pieces of information to the view that will display the contents of the cart, those being the cart object and the URL to display if the user clicks the Continue Shopping button. The author has created a new class file called cartindexviewModel.cs in the models folder of the web UI, and the contents are shown below. All right, so let's create this in the models folder. We're in web UI. All right. This is cartindexviewModel.cs. There it is. We want to replace that code with the code that you see here. All right, which has got our cart object and our return URL. Now that we have a view model, we can implement the index action method in the cart controller class as is shown in figure 816 on page 222. So our cart controller, we want to do two things. We want to first add another using statement right there. It's gray because we haven't added the code yet. And after our constructor, we want to add the index method. Right there. The last step, as mentioned on pages 223, 224, is the last step to display the contents of the cart is to create the new view. Right-click on the index action method, select Add View, keep the name index, click the OK button to create the index.cs HTML view and have its contents match those on page 223. So right mouse click, Add View, we're going to leave it there. I don't think we want a partial view. I think we want to use a layout page, but typically we want this to be empty. The author does not say this and want it to be on the product. That's what we've been doing thus far. The last step is to display the contents of the cart to create the new view. Right mouse click on the index action method. Select new view from the pop-up. Set the name to index and click the OK button to create index.cs HTML. Add the code shown on page 223. Well, leave it at index. Let's get rid of this and leave it as empty without model, because that's what they say. So I'm going to click Add. I don't know if that's right or not. Highlight everything and put in this code that's shown here on page 223. I'm going to shorten that up. Okay, we've now got that. And the author says here on page 224, the view enumerates the lines in the cart and adds rows for each of them to an HTML table, along with the total cost per line and the total cost per cart. The classes have had elements assigned to them to correspond to Bootstrap styles for tables and the text element. We should now have the basic functionality for our shopping cart. Also, with the user clicks the Add button, the appropriate product should be added to the cart and a summary should be displayed. Now, as always, there's only one way to tell whether or not this is going to work. So let's do a file save all and let's run the program. So in this chapter, what the author did was start to flesh out the customer-facing parts of the Sports Store app. We provided the means by which the user can navigate by category, put the basic building blocks in place for a shopping cart. All right, you can see all this. Okay, so we're adding that. Okay, we've now got that in there. Let's continue shopping. Let's go to soccer. We'll just add one of everything. Add a corner flag. Continue shopping. Let's go to chess. Add a human chessboard. Okay, so that's what we've got. We don't have a way to check out yet. All right, but that's okay. So in the next chapter, what we will do is we will come in here and we will attempt at least to complete the shopping cart. So I'll be back with that shortly.